and then we'll have the exact home of our dreams, because that's what his wife was wanting, right? So then fast forward, this was in May that this took place, or of last year, maybe. Anyway, no, it couldn't have been. Anyway, it was about 7 months ago. So 7 months ago, they purchased this property, and they fully gutted this home. It's an incredible location. Like, it really is just, it is a better location in the retrospect of both of those homes that they had went and looked at, only because no matter how much you put into that home, and this is what we're going to be talking a lot about tonight, is like how to run comps, how to really know how to push an ARV, an after repair value. And this neighborhood is exactly that. You don't find it very often. I was like, oh my gosh, what good find. I'm shocked I didn't find this. But it really is one of those gem neighborhoods, because no matter how much money you put into it, you would get it back as long as you did it right, and you created a nice flow of the home, and created a nice, and the nice thing for them was that it was going to be their forever home. So it didn't really matter that they were dumping a ton of money into it, and that was the whole point. And so he's like, we have, we've done all the architecture, or architectural designs. I'll show you those today that they've already done. We've already done all the structural engineering on the property. So, and had that signed off on it. We've had everything done essentially, right? And now we're going, I don't want to do it. Like, they're just terrified. They just now, and this is something too to teach. And we're gonna actually do a video walkthrough. I already filmed it, so you guys can see it. But they didn't have to tear it down to the studs. I want to show you the before pictures, just so you can kind of see what it was before we do the video walkthrough. And you didn't have to tear it down to the studs. There's a lot of good bones that they could have kept, and I really would have loved to see some of that actually stay. But nevertheless, now they've torn out everything. That's about it though. Yeah, that's about it. And that's fine, right? It's to taste, and that's fine. It was for them, and they didn't like it. So of course you get rid of it if it's your own personal primary house. But now, he's coming to us saying, buy it from us. We know you will turn it into something absolutely beautiful. Buy it from us. And I go, no, I'm sorry. Like, we kind of hit our threshold, right? So right now we have 10 remodels happening at the exact same time. We can't take on another one. Like, our bandwidth is just not there. As much as I do love this property, it's a no for us. But great news, we have a wholesaling business, right? And I have a list of 5,000 people on that buyer's list. So I said, let me just help you, right? Let me turn around and wholesale this out for you. And he's like, well, what would that look like? Tell me more. I forgot you teach people how to do this. And, so we had this whole long conversation. I put it under contract. And I can walk you through kind of how I put it under contract, if that's helpful. But I did multiple things. So as an agent, if you're an agent and you're watching this, it's a sticky line. And I'd love to coach you through how to successfully do wholesales as an agent, because you don't want to get in trouble. There's a lot of laws and regulations, which is why a lot of people don't get their license as investors. We get that, all the time. People go, oh, well, why would you do it, Maeli? If Mitch isn't an investor, like, why wouldn't? And he has. And I'm not saying Mitch does a lot of times, right? But because Mitch is slammed right now in a whole different arena, right? Trying to get our fund going. I just was like, I got this. Yeah, no big deal, right? And I can really do up to 10 a year without it really causing a big, huge red flag. And my brokerage is super sweet in the fact that we have all the exclusion forms. So the things that get you in trouble from the MLS perspective are going to be things that says, hey, I'm going to market this property off market. They don't like that, right? They don't want you to have all these contracts, have, the Utah Rep-C going, and have all of this, and then market it outside of the MLS, because they like control. That is the reason. Huh? Yes. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So
Mhm.
where are they wanting to move to?
So
like, since they're going to do that forever home, what are they going to do?
Yeah, so they are just not going to move into the home. I don't know exactly their plans, but that is not their plan anymore. Yeah, that's a good
Well,
question.
but they could,
Yeah, it's a good
but they
question,
were interested in your other houses, so could you work out a deal to
right?
where they get the other house and you got this one, but there was some money exchanged?
Sure. No, that's a great idea. I don't He's been kind of very he's been communicative for the property. Like he's given me so much, just like, oh, we've done this. Like here's, the walk, or here's the, architectural plans, and here's the permitting plans, and here's everything. So he's been really good with this property. But as far as like what he wants and what he's trying to, he hasn't been very open. And unfortunately, sometimes it takes a minute to get that kind of stuff out of people. But I don't know the big story, and there's something behind it why he's trying to sell his home. Not just, I think the story was something about a business that he is trying to help his father-in-law, and his father-in-law needs to get out, and so he's trying to do a deal where he's like, well, I bought this house cash, and they did like their own cash, not through a hard money or anything like that. And so he's like, I need this $900,000 out yesterday so I can buy this business from my dad. So there's a little bit of backstory on that. Sometimes the why is a big deal, right? Understanding like, well, why do you need out of this when it's perfectly like you've already done all the hard work, like literally it's ready to go. So that's why is that he needs the cash to help his father-in-law get out of a really bad business situation that they're in or something. So I don't know that they would have the money to, you know, to, if they sold it, that's why they're wanting to sell it, is so that they would get the cash out. I doubt they'd want to do an exchange, but doesn't mean that's not a good idea, because they did love our other properties. Even if it was like a seller finance deal or something fun like that. So something to think about for sure. Good idea. So real quick, I'm actually going to pull up, or do I have, did you give me share? I'm a co-host. Oh, that's fantastic. Fantastic. All right, let me know if you can see my screen. Okay, cool. Let's see here. Let's go to this one. And I'm actually gonna go, we're gonna create a new CMA. Well, no, I'm gonna go ahead and new tab. So let me show you the property real quick, just so you can kind of take a look at it. So this is the before. So this is how they bought it. They bought it for $859. It did sit on the market for 143 days, so it is interesting that I never saw it. But yeah, so it's 3,500 square feet. It's pretty big. Inside it feels very big as well, especially now that they've stripped it all out. It's like, oh my gosh, it's like you did not need to do this. There is a wall that you'll see when I walk through it that's like, oh, that's probably gotta go. But that's like surrounding the property. It's pretty big. So this is really, oh sure. Let me see if that works. There we go. So really pretty, right? Obviously 70s flooring, that's gotta go. But like these big, beautiful built-in stair or shelves, pretty cool. Obviously the kitchen's gotta go. Tiny little, galley kitchen, nobody likes that anymore. But still a really big, obviously there's a ton of space to give you whatever you do want. Gotta love the pink. Ooh, gotta love the pink. This is right when you walk in from the garage, this bathroom here. So yes, I understand why they got rid of some of this, but all this like paneling, I loved all of this. Like I'm sad that they got rid of, they got rid of everything. There's not anything left in this house. You'll see. It's like, oh my gosh, there's so much you could have kept, but whatever. What you don't know, you don't know. And again, it was for them, right? It was a forever home, so that makes sense that if they didn't like it, you're just gonna rip it out.
Yep.
And you'll always spend more money in a forever home. That's just something very different from a fix and flipper, right? You wouldn't.
So they're thinking that after they've stripped it all out, but they're
Mhm.
going to get 900,000 for it when it sat on the market with livable for
I
824,
know.
something like that.
Right, yeah. So, and actually for the right fix and flipper, the truth is it is a better deal. So they're hoping to get 930 because that's what they've put into the property. So they've they paid for demo, they've paid for all the architectural plans, they paid for permitting, like everything's done. And so they're hoping to essentially break even on this property now, and it's not livable, and you're not wrong. I mean, it's like so this is how it works though. Yes, they are kind of you start there, and this is how at least I do it, and I'm totally open to have conversation on this call tonight. But so they started at 859. He thinks he's in it and is like, okay, well, I need X amount, right? That's what he wants out of it. Now, is he going to actually get that? The question is, let the market decide. And I love to be able to be not the bad guy. I want to be able to be the good guy. And you know what? If I can get this guy 930 for this property, then why not? Right? Like let me try and get him 930 for this property. He's in a situation where he needs the money, and if I can wholesale and get that for him, then bada bing, bada boom. Now, unfortunately, after I do the first open house, I will know very quickly, right, if people are excited about this, because having all the walls open and having everything, exposed does, on a design standpoint, it makes it so much easier to really dig in and be like, oh yeah, like this property, it now it's just an open slate and I can start over again. Um, so I do think that that's helpful. But let's go ahead and look at why I think we could probably pull that off. Maybe not, right? Maybe we're gonna have to drop the price, and maybe he's not gonna get that. But as far as the hope, right? Let's see if we can actually do that for him. So I'm just gonna go active, backup, under contract, sold. Really, sold is the only thing we're gonna care about for an actual, you know, for listing this or trying to get comps. But let's go 360. Now we are in a stable market, so because we are, I can go back, um, an entire year, and that's helpful. I'm gonna keep that there, but I am gonna get rid of the year. So something that a lot of people don't do and they don't recognize when you're doing comps, you do want to get rid of that year because it affected your built will be in 2023, right? Or 2021 or 2024, or whatever this gets done. So you don't want to make that something. And in fact, you could just kind of get rid of it all, right? Like, you know what? Just get rid of, there's no, it won't be relevant to us for any reason to have that. And then garage capacity, you could really dial it in, but right now we only have 17 comps total. So, it tells us, one, nothing really sells in this area. It's not, there's people just don't move out, and then if they do, it's like, oh, okay. So we're gonna look at it. I always scroll down to the very last properties first. So we're going to take a look at the top. This one's under contract. Well, let's just take a look at these. So we know that's a super nice neighborhood. So this one sold for $950, or it's active for $950, and it is nice. I mean, it's not. It's a lipstick job, right? So they didn't tear out the ugly flooring in this house. They just put.
Looks like
It's
they left the
not
same cabinets.
same cabinets
Cheap
exactly.
hardware.
This is a very lipstick job. Very didn't update the bathroom. Again, just put kind of nice countertops.
Put granite on the old cabinets, painted them.
Mm-hmm.
Six panel doors.
Yeah, yeah.
Those
exactly.
are not new doors.
No, those are definitely, they didn't paint the outside, so realistically, is this the same condition in which they actually just bought the house? Or, the one that's they're trying to sell, other than this
Flooring
kitchen?
and appliances.
Yeah, some new flooring, not the bathrooms though, and new appliances. Looks like, I don't even think these are new doors. They could be, but they don't look.
No, 6 panel doors aren't new doors.
No, these doors and on the kitchen.
Looks like they probably painted them. Can you
That's about
see?
it, though.
Can you see previous listings? Like, can you
Yeah,
see
I'll
the
show you
time it
that.
was listed before?
Yeah, it was only listed ever once, and that was the
Oh,
one
okay.
that I showed you already. So it is new kitchen, because yeah, this isn't the same layout. Or yeah, I could go back. I'd have to go into
I want the treehouse.
you want the treehouse, yeah. So anyway, this is to tell you, okay, well, yeah, this isn't probably in as nice a neighborhood too, and we'd have to dial that in and be like, okay, well, where is that? This sold at 949.
It's a lot further west.
Yeah,
That one, which will make the price lower.
yeah. And this one is, kind of hideous, and it sold for 910. And so once again, but it is livable. And so this is why it needs to be a wholesale. So let me back up. So you're right, Charlotte, that if somebody's trying to sell their house and it's like, yeah, but I could buy a house for $910,000 and it's livable right now. Like, why would I buy your house for 930? You know what I mean? Like, what would be the why? One is the location. Like, this isn't zeroing it down. I will show you like on a map like the location.
It's right by Evergreen,
Also,
isn't it?
it's further east, but yeah,
Which would make it a little nicer.
right. Um, and the neighborhood, like there's a bunch of like really big, like $3 million homes being built right now, so it does help in the ARV. But at the end of the day, that's why it can't be listed, because you're right, right? If I tried to list this on the MLS, which people have and could, right? Most people might be like, oh yeah, I'll just list it. That way everyone can see it. And that might be the last ditch effort just to see if anything happens with it. But I would say it's not the right spot for that, because people who have their property on the MLS, it's move-in ready, right? I mean, that's what this is. And so because it's move-in ready, that's, you can get a loan on it. You can't get a loan on this. You just can't. And so you would have to have all cash to pull it off, because you can't live in this property. And realistically, it needs to have a perspective of a fix and flipper's eye, right? Because they're going into it going, oh, perfect, right? They already did all the hard work for me. I literally can now just come in and electrical, plumbing, sheetrock, bam, here we go. So, right, there's the value as a remodeler. Half the issue is just exposing and like getting plans and waiting on engineers. I mean, he's already waited 4 months to get all the engineering done, right? Like, that's a huge amount of time that a rehabber doesn't have to sit there and wait for. So that's where a lot of our hang up is with architects right now, and structural engineers. To get them to come out and do anything is like almost dang near impossible right now.
What would the ARV be if you finished it?
Right, and so let's finish that out. And that's kind of what we're figuring out right now. I honestly don't see anything, so that's nice. For the contract, I'll look at that one. I'll look at that one. So this is it. These are our only comps. So let's take a look at those guys. So let's go in and change some fun things. Let's do your built, total square footage, sold concessions. Let's go back to the top. I hate how they do this. It's like, why? I don't know why they don't put them in the right order, but they don't. So bedrooms, and then we'll do, I'd like to see full bath. There it is, full bath, and then I want to see half bath, and then half bath, and then I want to see the gross living area, level 1, basement, finished basement. Yeah, the rest I don't care about. Okay, so now it'll kind of go in and do an adjusted for the price. So if I was to include this one, which I don't know, this is what we're going to go through and be like, is this a comp? Well, let's find out. I also want to see the math. I want to see where they are, if they're close enough to each other that I think that they're worth. So this originally was listed at 1.15 or 1.2, excuse me. It did sell for 1.15, or it's under contract, excuse me. Let's see. Oh, it's cute. It's got a big garage.
Landscaping spot on.
Kind of weird. A lot of people don't love this kind of design anymore. It's kind of like outdated. Should have staged it. That's okay. You like that nook. It's a nice kitchen. The flooring, nice. Big fridge. Yeah, it's clean. I mean, it's got a nice mud room. The bathrooms are all redone. Not a very big master, but the carpet needs to go. You can see that it needs new carpet. At least those ones. This is outdated, but I saw that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wonder why they didn't update the master.
Yeah. Some people though, right? This wasn't a fix and flip. This was somebody that lived here, so just get to it. They did do new all carpet in the basement, so that's good. And then they have little, kitchenette type thing, but no sink or fridge or stove. So it's just a little.
Looks more like a dry bar.
Yeah, it's a dry bar. They did update this bathroom, so that's big. That's nice. Oh, they had like a little salon in the basement. That's cool. And laundry. Smart. Nice backyard, right? That's a huge selling point. Again, I'm sad that this home actually didn't sell for more because it definitely deserved it. But in this market, it's super freaking weird, man. It's this price point. It is hard. So it's under contract. We'll see what it actually sells for. Unfortunately, the second it's not a comp, and they could have offered more. They could have offered less. We don't actually know what this is going to sell for, but we do know that it actually is in its range. So as much as I don't want to keep it on there, for now I'm going to remove it just because it's actually, make sure it's the right house. Yeah, it is.
How much was the asking on that?
1.2 originally.
Originally, yeah. So this one sold for sold price 1.3, and they originally listed it for 1.285. So obviously they crushed it. Probably in a little bit nicer area, and it is a bigger square footage. So it's 3,700 square feet. What is ours? I forgot already. We're at 35, so we're not too far off. Oh, good heavens! From where we need to be. So let's take a look at this guy. So 3-car garage. Ours only has 2, so we have to take that in consideration. Kind of a similar walk-in though, actually, same like for your idea. Nice. Big kitchen. So yeah, this is a fantastic comp. I think actually ours could even like that. Theirs is a great room, which ours doesn't actually have a great room. It is a cooler design just because we have a really cool deck. And we'd be able to do a bigger bathroom, master bath, and a way bigger master walk-in closet. Just because the way they gutted it, it's gonna be the whole upstairs, like the whole left wing is they did what we did at Hollywood. We took your design from Hollywood. I'm like, oh, I love it. Yes. And then they did a full kitchen, almost a full kitchen downstairs. That's weird. I don't know why they did that. It's really ugly. Didn't update the bathroom fully. That's weird. But nice backyard, patio. Not as big. Our backyard patio is crazy, and we don't have any neighbors. So that's a huge selling point. It's not a cemetery, but it is no neighbors, and I don't know if it'll ever get developed. It might, but it doesn't look like it would get developed anytime soon. So you'll see that in the walkthrough that we do. Okay, so I'd keep that one. Let's take a look at this guy. 1.25, 34, so a little bit smaller than ours. And ours would have one more bedroom. At least that's what's allocated as it sits. It did originally list at 1.3. We dropped it to 1.25. That's it sold for. Take a look. We'll kind of burn through this because we have a lot to cover here. Ooh, interesting. Don't love the 70 design. Well, but hey, some people love the mid mod. Didn't do a fridge. Nice backyard, obviously. This kind of feels a little bit more like our property, actually. This feels a lot more like like the layout, at least, of how it would be set up.
We have your walkthrough video too that we can.
That's what I'm saying.
We can
So
use
you
that
will
to
see
see
that. Yeah, you'll see what it is now. Then detached car garage instead of attached, which sometimes that's a selling point and sometimes it's not. Actually, some people hate that it's not attached. So just kind of depends on your vibe, and the person buying. So I think this is a really good comp. Actually, out of the comp so far that I've seen, this is probably the best one. And I'm curious to see where it's at in comparison to our property.
Really close.
Yeah. Because ours is. Let's see.
Similar street.
Yeah, it's not too far off, I don't think. Here, let's see if I can go. I'll map it out here in a second once we have our actual ARV going. And then the last one sold.
Oh, this is actually Oak Ridge Drive. This is the same street.
Yeah, straight, yeah. So this makes a little bit more sense. A little bit more square footage, one more bedroom than ours.
Same year built, right? 1948.
1948, yep. So yeah, this would be probably even closer to. Yeah, similar backyard. Ours doesn't look like this now, but that is what it could look like. It's very lush. Oh, but this one has a pool. So, it's not really adding value, but it is adding value. There's like a silent hidden, oh yeah, probably add $50,000 to whatever comp, I wouldn't, whatever this is comped at, I would drop it at about $40,000 because that's what an appraiser would essentially do. Interesting. I don't love the colors, but it's all good. It's kind of ew, it is outdated. Okay. Huh. Some things are. Look at this tile. Like, it's super outdated. But that's epic. Yeah, that's
kitchen's awesome. It is a galley kitchen though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, so based on this comp, like I probably wouldn't even ripped it out. Yeah. They didn't update bathrooms. Must be that backyard that really pushed those people over the top. Be like, yep, this is ours.
Yeah.
This is amazing. This is why
this is a sold comp, right? So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. But same thing with like our property with Willowbrook. People be like, this property's not worth that. And it's like, yeah, it is because of the backyard, and this is it, right? People just don't get backyards like this anymore, and so there is a ton of value in having a big backyard like that in this area. It just doesn't exist. So anyway, so this sold, and it was on the market for 11 days. That's amazing, right? Like, wow, somebody really loved this property. It was like, I have to have this. And spent good money for it. So this is how I would comp this out. I would like to see a map report. Don't know if it would let me see. Yeah, so they're all right there anyway. Here's Oak Ridge Drive and those other two. So absolutely, these are comps. So yeah, I think we're good there. I already have this saved, so we'll just go back to my saved. Cool. And then so after all the adjustments, I'm saying that it's worth 1.3. So that's what, after you adjust these down, that's what I came up with. Now, is it, who knows, right? I mean, you're in 5 months from now or 6 months from now and something could be done with it. I have no idea what, this is just subject to what has sold, and that's the only thing I can go off of. So from there, I would just create a packet, and I would say, hey, here is everything. Everything and anything you could possibly have. Here it is. And it'll just go through all the things for them. And then I would email this packet over. If you're on the MLS, just so you know, and you try and hit email, it doesn't work 95% of the time. So I suggest to not do that, download it, and then email it from there. Hopefully that's helpful if you're an agent, because I know a lot of our agents have struggled with that. And then, baby love, what I'm going to have you do. So what I wanted to go through is, okay, how did I create the ARV? And how did my computer might not let me download this. It's been struggling with downloads the last few days. So once I've done all this footwork, right, and figured out, okay, what the ARV is, if it's even worth our time to wholesale it, because, you know, at the end of the day, I don't want somebody to get like super excited about, you know, me selling their or wholesaling their property. If for some reason I don't think that's even like, if I feel like they're crazy, you know, like, nope, sorry, then I won't even obviously touch it. But or it's the different scenario. So last month I had a property where this unfortunate lady, one of our gals from our Utah women's group, Rain group, she oops. Can't spell your name, hun. Sorry. Oh yeah, let's input wholesale. There you go. So take that and put that inside of, if you wouldn't mind, the Dropbox or the Google Drive folder. So anyway, she reached out and she's like, you know, hey, I need, you know, I'm in distress. She's like behind 140 days on her home, her mortgage payment, and she's like freaking out, you know, and I go, oh, okay, well, what are you gonna do for her? You know, because this is one of the women in our group. And she goes, I want to wholesale this property. Like that I'm a wholesaler. Like she wants to start wholesaling. And so she's like, but I don't know how to help her because I would run the numbers. And the most I could offer her is like $275,000. And she said that she needs 300 to get out of the situation she's in. I was like, okay, well, she's like, so she just asked for my help, right? And was like, hey, so what do you think on this property? And so I went through it and I ran my numbers. I did exactly what I just showed you here. And I went, yeah, the most, you know, as a fix and flipper that I could possibly pick it up for would be 275. So if you need a wholesale fee on top of it, you would need to really do 285, right? And then really there's just no margin. And she's like, yeah, that's what I thought too. What am I going to do? Like, how am I going to help this lady? And I go, well, honestly, this is a perfect example of where the MLS is very helpful. So if you have a property and it's distressed, don't feel like you can't put it on the MLS. This property I could put on the MLS. We would, fix and flippers do live on the MLS. Like we do have agents that are constantly searching for us, right? I am an agent on there constantly searching. So it doesn't mean that I wouldn't see it. It's just that if you're on one of my wholesale lists, you're for sure going to see it because you're constantly looking at my emails going, hey, does Maeli have a property yet? You know? So it's a little bit more likely to pick up it on a wholesale side of it. And you know who the buyer is. They're coming in. They're not going to ask for, you know, oh, I need your seller's disclosures. No, you don't, right? Like, just give it over to me. It is as is, and that's how it's going to go. So anyway, fast forward, I did end up listing it. And the reason I knew that it would work very well is because we are in a huge influx for people needing DIY projects that are cheap right now because nobody can afford a home, especially not in Heber City. Like no one can afford a home that's less than $300,000. It doesn't exist. And so I did list it for 346. We got under contract for 346, and that was pretty cool. So actually 348 is what it went under contract for. I love that. This lady, because her husband passed away last year. She's had 4 heart attacks in the last like 3 or 4 months, and she's an 11-year-old son, and that was just, you know, super sad to go to that house and just see the disarray that it was in. I spent 4 hours cleaning on Saturday morning before even the open house. And I don't know if anyone even thought it was clean. I'm pretty sure no one did. They were like, Kelly, what are you? No, sorry, but you're lucky that you can even walk now in the house. So you're welcome. But now she's off, right? She's cashed out and she bought a little trailer in Iowa and like they get to start over. And I love that. So sometimes what's best for us isn't actually what we need to do on the other side. We'll try our best, but there's a lot of options and variables when it comes to obviously wholesaling and knowing which angle to use. So Jessie, who actually this deal was hers, she was like, she goes, well, so you'll list it for me? And I'm like, absolutely, I got you. She's like, oh, okay, thank you. Because we wanted to help the lady out, right? And so thank you, Jessie, for the referral. I appreciate that. And we worked together and got this done. So it is a blessing on the other side. But anyway, so sometimes that's how deals go down. So, babe, are you done kind of playing with the MailChimp thing? So we can show
Yeah, I think so.
a wholesale deal? Okay. So from here, basically, I would say, okay, here's all the information that this gentleman's house, right, that he sent over. We'll compile it all together, and then we'll create a email blast, and so that's where Mitch is going to take on. So why don't you show us how to do an email blast and how to set up like a campaign?
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, Maeli's done our quick analysis, right? She's gone through the property. She's even done a walkthrough, which we're going to share with you here in a second. You got to see all the comps. Now we're going to take a look at the subject property. We're going to talk a little bit about compiling that information, what to share with your wholesale potential buyers. And how to be compliant in doing that. Utah is a state that is cracking down a bit on wholesaling, so we got to make sure we're compliant. Also, Maeli has a real estate license. She's not acting in that capacity in this case. She's not representing the sellers as an agent, but we still have to make sure that we're being compliant there so that Maeli doesn't get in trouble, right? And so we're going to kind of take you through that process. Once you've done your quick analysis, you've run your numbers, you know what they could potentially sell it for. I'm going to share my screen here and let's talk about. Okay, I want to jump over here. Okay, Maeli, can you see my screen? Okay. All right. So what I've got my so you can see my Finder window here on my Mac. I've got this connected to Google Drive. So this is inside of Google Drive. So what I've got is got my wholesales folder where I hold all my current wholesales that I'm working on. This is the Oak Ridge property. And then you'll notice I've got a public data room. So I've got, the only thing I have right now is kind of my draft for my marketing text that we're going to blast out on the email here. But then we've got the public data room, which is a folder that I've created for all the stuff that I want to share with people. So when I share this marketing text, I'm going to put the link to this public data room to where when they click on the link, they can access all this stuff, right? So we've got that CMA that Maeli created, right? We've got the Oak Ridge Drive, the subject property with the ARV of 1.3. And then we've got that Wellington Street property that Maeli uses as a comp, the Sigurd Avenue, and then the other property that's also on Oak Ridge Drive. Looks like it's just a couple houses away. Right, because we're 1788 and they're 1731. So we've got our comparative analysis there. The nice thing about using like a Google Drive or a Dropbox is I can add stuff to this and it will update for anyone that has the link. So we've got also have our listing report. So this is kind of the listing. They can see what it's sold for, what the original list price was. This is the original listing. Maeli, is this something that we want to share with potential wholesale buyers? Do we want them to see the sold price and the original listing price?
So
not that they couldn't find that anyway, but
yeah, exactly.
We want to optimize our transparency, right? We want to be transparent, but not too transparent that we transparent ourselves out of a deal here, because we're also going to have to make a little bit of money on this.
Right. And the key behind there is like a balance, because I want to be known as a wholesaler that does actually give good comps, right? And is as transparent as possible, because people will want to come back to us and want to do business with us. Unfortunately, there's a lot of wholesalers out there that are very they'll pull comps from down the road and around the corner and in different zip codes and be like, yeah, these are your comps, and then people believe that, and then they get into the deal and they're like, oh my gosh, we're so screwed, you know? So I don't want to be known as that type. I want people to really look at us and go, oh wow, they actually figured it out. I
Yeah.
don't think it's, I think leaving it is perfectly fine. Having a full perspective of what's going on with the property is helpful. And in fact, I would suggest that we include the old MLS listing too, so that they can see kind of what its original glory was.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you think that include this in the data room?
I do.
Okay. Then we will leave it in the data room. We also have the plans. So like Maeli said, they started flipping this, so they went and got, all their engineering done. This is all the engineering specs, boring stuff. And then they have their plans as well. So they've got all their plans created here, all their architectural plans of what they're planning to do with the house. And then kind of a main floor. They've designed what they want the spaces to look like. The
Which is
kitchen,
great.
obviously, the living room.
This is a really cool thing to look at because when you're inside the home, you're about to do the walkthrough, you're gonna be like, where in the world would you put anything? But this is actually a really pretty design. I like the way they structured that because this is the deck, so kind of show them where the deck is.
Yeah, so he's kind of drawn over this one. So the deck the deck is currently here, if I'm not mistaken, right, Maeli?
Yep.
And they want to recreate the deck so that there's stairs here, that it's a much bigger deck with kind of a rotunda around this bay window, which I think is kind of cool.
Yeah.
So obviously these are just ideas. When he sells it, it's up to whoever buys it. But all ideas are good ideas, right? So and then this is the walkthrough. So let's kind of take a second, go through this.
So there's the wall that I think probably should go. I'm curious what people think.
Now, on this particular street, I noticed that about 50% of the houses, the front yard's fenced off. You can see the next door neighbor has a house fenced off.
But it's a fence that you can see through. It's not a fence that you can't see through.
It's not a wall.
They've
let the front yard go. In the listing photos from before, the front yard was really nice. Nice hedges, green lawn. Obviously we don't own this property. The person who is going to flip it does, but they've kind of let it, they've let the lawn die. So whoever buys this is going to need to put some money into the landscaping.
I also think that, having to fix that fence would be a lot of work, and I don't know if it would pay itself back. So that's part of why I thought, I'd get rid of it.
Yeah.
You'd have to do that gate and figure it. But
look, you can eliminate the gate.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to save the money, right? You just eliminate the gate, keep the wall. You're saving money on demo. You're saving money on repairing the gate, if that's an issue.
The fascia's in great condition. The roof looks very new. The walkway is actually fantastic. I wouldn't touch any of that. I honestly think back here I would just, make sure the lawn's good to go. I think it's fantastic. I love the scrub oak feel. The deck is actually in really good condition.
Yeah.
So the guy actually owned a deck company, like a decking company, so that's why he was going to redo it. But if it was me, I wouldn't touch the deck. I would put a new railing on and call it a day. Because, yeah, it would be nice to have stairs coming down, sure. But it's definitely not something that would be a deal breaker to buy this house. It really is super beautiful, just the way it is. And it's in really good condition. There are no backdoor neighbors, so that's a huge win. And it's like a valley. I don't know if you can see it in this video very well. This video is kind of glitchy. I don't know why it's doing that.
Which is nice. It's just nature right behind you in the backyard, so that's super nice.
I don't know if you can see it right here, but yeah, it's literally just like a ravine, like a valley.
The landscaping definitely needs to be cleaned up.
Anything over like 1.4, you're gonna need to 1.3. You're gonna need to clean up landscaping.
So they're wanting to extend that deck to make it even bigger, right? Bring it out to about where you're standing, and have it go around that bay window on the other side. So just to back up just a little bit. So they want to make that deck go all the way around that bay window to the right. Make it a little more luxurious.
Have stairs coming down. I also would eliminate those two doors. There's two doors in the back of the house. There'd be no reason to have those doors, so I would, yeah, those two doors right there, I'd get rid of those. There's like 4 entrances to the basement. It's kind of weird. It's like
All you need is one, right?
yeah. Well, I mean, even maybe 2 if you're wanting to do like a full mother-in-law apartment, and that's fine. But
Yeah.
the 4, like that's so weird.
Yeah, 4's too
Window
much.
wise, all the basement I think needs new windows, but I actually think you could keep the ones upstairs. Again, this is just kind of coming back to the front yard.
Let's take a look inside the house. So I mean, the neighborhood, you can see the neighbor's house. You know, these are all $1 million plus houses, just a little dated. You know, so I mean, it's a prime neighborhood for a fix and flip. Coming in the side entrance here.
Already multiple fix and flips done in that neighborhood, so it's nice.
Yeah.
It's just a little while ago.
Which is good. You also don't want to be the first one in the neighborhood, right?
Exactly.
I've already done the demo in the house. Which is a bummer for him trying to sell it, right? Because now we've limited ourselves to just fix and flippers that are going to be willing to buy this house.
Yep.
2-car garage.
And it's small. It's kind of small.
Small and dated.
It's a new garage door. It needs to be painted because it's hideous on the outside. But
I think the entire outside needs attention. And let us know as we're doing this walkthrough. We're about 3/4 of the way through the walkthrough, but let us know if you have any questions. Feel free to come off mute.
so in the plans, actually hit pause. You want to see? Oh yeah, I'm talking, but so if you want to pull up the plans, you can kind of see where this is in subject to the plan of like where it would be.
Kind of over here in the kitchen, living room area.
I walked in. Is to go to the left with your cursor.
Walked in over here.
Mm-hmm.
Got a little half bath.
Yep. And then that whole area would be the kitchen.
Right. This is your main entrance over here, but your side doors here. Walk in, garage doors here, so you're in the garage here. Kitchen's here.
You're standing in the living room right now is where you would be when you go back to. Oh no, sorry.
Oh, you're good. I think we were right about here. Yeah, so that the kitchen would be just left of that door. Coming out this way, we'd be standing in the living room.
Oh, the kitchen.
And then there would be the dining room.
We have formal dining right there in the picture.
Yep,
Right.
dining. Yep, where Maeli just pointed.
Up here. The living room, dining room, kitchen.
It does need everything. I mean, they're gonna even have to insulate the attic. They can pull that TV antenna out, but
Yeah. It is kind of nice from a design standpoint to be able to see everything. You know, it does suck that they stripped out everything. It's like you didn't have to tear out all the sheetrock. Like that's way more expensive. Let's ask. Rachel or April has a question. Would a DIY buyer have a hard time with financing a current condition? Yeah. Yep. So you can't get traditional financing.
you can get hard money on this.
Yeah, you can get hard money. If it's a DIYer that's like, oh yeah, I'll DIY this, you know,
Yeah.
and get hard money. But yeah, you can't get traditional financing.
But usually hard money lenders don't like you to live in it.
Yeah. So what you tell them is up to you. But
If that's what you mean by DIY.
Yeah. But yeah, they don't want you moving into it.
But our seller actually owns this cash, owns it outright. Which is a bummer because they they kind of dropped the value a little bit when they demoed it from a retail perspective. A flipper is going to appreciate this because that's just costs that they don't have to incur by the demo being already done and cleaned out, right?
And from a design perspective, right, be able to really see exactly what you want to do. There'd be no hesitation to not do something if you really wanted to, because it's like, oh, well, I don't have to worry about how much it's going to cost to rip out this sheetrock or how much it's going to cost to move this wall, or it's like, no, it's all done for you.
Yep. Engineering's already done, so they already know, what walls they can move, which ones they can't. Okay, so that gives us a pretty good idea. So I've got my data room here, and Maeli just emailed me. I'm not going to do it now, but I'll drop that report that Maeli just made into the data room, and then that's what I'm going to share. So I've got my marketing text. You'll notice it's outside of the data room. I'm obviously don't want people to get my draft of my marketing text that I'm going to blast out in the email, which here it is. So we're going to take this. We're going to copy all of it. And then we're going to jump into MailChimp. So MailChimp is, it's a great, it's a great service to use if you wanted to do like mass mailings and stuff. There's a few others out there. I've been using MailChimp for years, so now I was gonna say it's what I know, but I don't know how to. I usually have other people do it for me. I just pay for the service, right? So I'm probably gonna need Maeli's help a little bit as we do this. But we just come in, we click create, internal email name, Oak Ridge Wholesale. Internal means that no one's going to see this. It's just what we're calling it for reference. So this is the Oak Ridge Drive Wholesale.
We had a fourplex in Oak Ridge, didn't we?
That was Oak Street in Midvale.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So let's add a list. We're going to choose our audience here. Melee Real Estate team. Oh, what's that? Equity Partners. Let's see. Melee Real Estate team.
Sorry, what are you doing? Sorry, go back.
This is the REI classes, right? Is who we're sending it out to?
Yep.
Okay.
Nope, just hit save.
Okay, save. Thank you. Then from Melee Real Estate Team at gmail.com. Is that correct? Is that where you want it coming from?
That's where it always comes from.
Okay. Add subject. Now, is that okay from a compliance standpoint? Is it okay to have your name on it? Okay.
Yeah. So the contract is actually under my name. It's under contract as Maeli Nelson. So we're good. Actually,
so, $1.3 million ARV. Preview text. What do we want to have on the preview text, Melee?
Just maybe location, rare opportunity, huge margin.
Okay. Lots of exclamation points.
I would do emojis too, but we can come back to that.
I'm yelling it so they know I mean it. I mean business. Send time. Okay. You want to send it now? Or do we want to send it in the morning?
Yeah, we'll schedule it out for tomorrow morning.
Okay, so August 9th. I wish it was April still. August 10th. Send time optimization. Best time for maximum engagement. Send a specific time. Send with time warp. I don't know what that is. What's best calculating optimal time? Let's let their data tell us when the best time to send is, because then we'll get more opens.
Yeah, but what it's running is our opened time. So it's not like across the globe, of MailChimp. It's actually running our data. So when our people that are on our email list open the emails. So
lame. They should do it global.
I know, right? I'm like, hey, can I get everyone?
Yeah.
But
Optimal time to send is 11 a.m. Okay, let's do that. Finalize your recipients at send time. At send time. What does that mean?
no, it's
When
already
selected, we'll check your audience for new or unsubscribed. Oh, yeah. Okay. Save. Yeah, don't send it to unsubscribe people. You get in trouble.
Yep.
Okay,
But luckily
design.
they manage that for you too, so they actually take those people off for you. That's nice.
Okay.
So I would do the very bottom blank column. No, sorry, to the left, 1.3 column.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have pictures and stuff that we'll put into here?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Have you sent those to me? Are you going to do that on your end? We'll just kind of create a draft and you can upload this after.
yeah. Okay.
Because we're kind of running out of time.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got the Maeli Real Estate logo, right? It's time to design your email. So to prep for this call, I already created the text. So we already copied it. So I can just come in and erase that and paste this stuff. So probably don't want it to all be big.
That's fine.
We'll make this that seems weird that it's all big. I know, what do you think?
That's fine.
Okay, we got our parcel number. Okay, so Mill Creek assignable contract. Address, we're in possession of assignable contract. At address, we're considering selling this purchase agreement, which would allow you to purchase the property. Close date, what close date, Maeli?
I was gonna say you probably want to also include. I always do the Repsy that's under contract, and then I blur out anything that you don't want them to see.
Okay.
So that's common on all wholesales. And so in this case, we have until September 15th.
Okay. Okay. September 15th. So 9/15? Or do we want it before that?
And well, that's the close date, right? So I'm fine with saying the 15th. Well, let's just do the 11th to be safe, and then we can always adjust it if we need to. We gotta blast it out again.
Okay. And then assignable agreement details: 5 beds, 2 baths, 3,505 square feet. If you're interested in buying this purchase agreement, please contact us ASAP. Click on the link for more information on this property. Okay, so this is my data room, right? So I'm now going to come back to my Google Drive, and I usually do this from the web browser version. I'm in my wholesales folder in my Oak Ridge, right? I've got this, so Oak Ridge is my private one, but then inside that I have my data room. So I'm just going to right click on that and hit share, and we're going to go get link. Okay, now something that a lot of people always miss about Google Drive, right? And then it sends you that stupid email where it's like request access because it's restricted. We got to change it from restricted to anyone with a link can view. Okay, we don't want them to be an editor, but anyone with a link can view. Okay, so make sure that that's set that way. And then we're going to copy the link. So link copied, right? And then we're going to come back into our campaign builder and we're going to replace where did that go? Ah, there it is. Okay, I'm going to make that smaller. Size 14, right? And we want to make sure that that hyperlinks in their email. So we're going to link to same link, right? And then it turns it blue, which makes it clickable. Suggested starting price. So Maeli, they need $930.
Yep.
As a wholesale fee, we usually like to make about 15 grand, right? So are we suggesting that they start at $945?
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions on what we're doing so far? Feel free to come off mute. Only available to cash buyers who can close quickly. Buyers pay both buyer and seller's costs. If you guys have questions, feel free to interrupt me.
Did they ever get a contractor's quote on the build out?
Yeah, they did. And we have one too. So something that we like to do is include that. So Mitch hasn't done that yet, but and I do have the amount.
Just curious, what was it?
So there, because it was their, forever home, they have the contractor actually scheduled to go in today, and they canceled the contract, with him because he's trying to sell it, but for $350. Now, I don't think it would cost $350. So the total square footage is 35-ish, roughly. And 200 square feet is actually like a working space, like a workbench area type thing. So I actually wouldn't finish that off. I would leave it as is.
Brock had us at 180, didn't he?
So no, so we're at 210.
210.
Because we have
okay.
windows and this has to be luxury. You gotta.
Right.
Hold on, let me verify that was the case. Actually, pull that up.
So while you're pulling that up, real quick. So one of the reasons I use an active Google Drive link is I can continually add stuff to the data room, right? Like Maeli's like, oh, I got pictures and I forgot to send those over, right? So I just kind of built the data room today, knowing that we were going to work on this on the call, so you guys can see how it's done. We haven't added pictures to it yet, so we can add pictures, and when we add them, they're live, right? We can add, a contractor's bid, and when we add it, it's live and it's in the data room. As long as we put it in that data room folder, it's going to be there whenever people click on the link. So suggesting starting price, $945. Only available to cash buyers who can close quickly and pay both sides of the closing costs. Agents add your commission on top. All figures provided as a courtesy buyer to verify information. That's important. Notice we're kind of covering our butts here, right? Buyers, you verify, right? Like, we also have down here all figures. So for questions, please call Maeli Nelson. Phone number, email address.
Wrong email, babe. But yeah.
Sorry.
No, I can fix all that later. So let me go.
Okay. P.S. If you have a property you would like to partner with on blah, 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 a little marketing. And then disclosure. We are exploring all options with this agreement. As part of our due diligence, we are considering selling our assignable contract for this property. We may not own this home. We are not acting as real estate agents. We do not represent the seller. The information is provided as a courtesy and not meant for the purposes of marketing this home. Do you want, I put the signature line as mine. Do you want the signature line to be yours, babe?
It doesn't matter. We have two of them on there, so
Okay.
it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Both of us. And it is coming, from Millionaire Real Estate, but, and that's just how I've done it in the past. But you guys, obviously, once you're branded, you can flip it, switch it to, and you can always attach it with us. So if you're wanting a bigger name, like I would probably, this is what, my assistant uses to do. So that logo, I would actually switch out to our Flipping with Mitch and Maeli logo. I wouldn't use that logo because it creates a brand, and our brand is very well known. And so because it's well known, people are like, oh, it's Flipping with Mitch and Maeli. Yeah, it's a trusted brand. It's, it's something that that people will resonate with. And so I scroll up. I always use that one right there. And that's not, weird. That's weird that it did that. But yeah. So, so from there, I think, you guys to also leverage us, right? So if you're part of our team and you're doing deals with us, and, feel free to leverage us in your wholesaling business, because we do have already a list of 5,000, buyers that have asked to be on our list. And then, these are going to be pictures.
Undo.
I'm like, oh, wait, what are you doing?
Undo, sorry.
We can just do 2 pictures. It's fine. I'll just move everything over. Just don't touch anything else. I'll do the rest.
Stop touching stuff.
Stop touching stuff. And then, so from there, basically, we would, you guys can leverage our brand, I guess is what I'm trying to say. If we've signed off on it and we feel good about, obviously working with you guys, feel free to leverage our brand when you're doing your marketing pieces and stuff, because I think that just helps you sell your property faster. And then it helps everyone, just feel good about it. Now, if you're building your own brand, don't use ours, right? Obviously, if you're trying to really build up yours, some tips and tricks to get a good, and I still do this. So I jump in forums on Facebook and I say, if I have this property, which I do, I'm going to blast it out on those, different fix and flip or real estate investing, groups. I'll blast it out and then I'll say, if anybody's interested in being on my wholesale list, right? Buyers list, put your email below and then I'll get 50 people to grab their emails. The nice thing is if other people no, you don't need to do this. I actually haven't done this, but I do know of people who do this where the other people have, because I ask them to privately message me their email, right? I don't say it, but if somebody wants to put it publicly, you can actually go in. Somebody else posted a wholesale and said, hey, who wants to be on my buyers list? You can go grab all those 50 emails too. So, I mean, you do you. You didn't get permission, so the chances of them actually clicking on it might be slim.
And don't
But
send it to people who unsubscribed.
yeah, do
You'll
not
get
do
in
that.
trouble for that.
And what's the point? You're just spending marketing dollars on something that's not helping you anyway. They didn't want your business, so let's run numbers real quick. So babe, go ahead and pull up a calculator, and let's figure out what kind of monies, because they do need to know like people need to be and like intrigued by this deal. So let's run some numbers.
Pull up a calculator.
Pull up a calculator.
Okay. Here it is.
Cool. So, with purchase price at $945, and then I added,
We already added 15 grand in there as a wholesaling fee.
yep. So I added the 210 for remodel. And what I did is I just essentially did $65 per square foot. Now, could it be more than that, depending on what somebody
That's
wanted?
high. I mean, that's luxury, right? $65 a
That's
square foot.
I think that's, but keep in mind, it does need windows, right? And it does, I don't know if it needs HVAC. I don't remember. Actually, no, I don't think it does. I think it had all new HVAC. So that's pretty good. It doesn't need HVAC. All the really expensive stuff has already been done in my mind, like the roof, architectural designs.
The beautiful thing is this creates $150,000 basically, actually a little more than that, $170,000 in margin.
Well, so that's what I was going to have you do the math. So
yeah, so 1320.
But you haven't added closing costs or agent fee.
Right.
So as a wholesale, that's a really good point, Charlotte, and I'm glad you brought that up. So as a wholesale, we don't add that because we don't know what they're going to do. A lot of flippers don't use agents, right? And a lot of flippers buy them cash, right? So or they use hard money or they use equity or so. Our way of doing it, we run those numbers when we're doing our quick analysis. We run those numbers that way when we're doing it. But really, what we want to kind of create here is an opportunity for people to say, okay, there is my math did my math wrong, I guess. But there's $150,000 in gross margin here, or $170,000 in gross margin. Whatever your planned costs are beyond that, you have to plug those in, right? So we kind of leave it open ended like that, almost like calculating it would be like an NOI. A net operating income on a rental, right? We're not going to assume their mode for buying it. We're not going to assume they get a
Closing
mortgage.
costs going to be fixed? Like, would that be the same no matter who bought it, or will that change besides the agent fee?
Potentially, usually about 0.5% on closing costs, but holding costs are going to be different, right? Agent fees are going to be different, are going to be subjective to the buyer. So we kind of leave that open ended.
So back to math.
Yeah.
If you take one,
So
million.
let's do this over. So 945 plus 210 equals, okay, and then we make that negative and add the 132.
Nope, it's 1315. That's what the final ARV
Okay,
was.
so minus 5,000, 160,000 in gross margin. So then Charlotte, they would take their costs out of that. So we call that gross margin.
So let's run our numbers so we can tell the world what we would think, So if we said, if we go 1315 minus 115500, so that's 160,000. And then so that's profit, right? I was just double checking math, babe. I wasn't trying to say you did it wrong.
No, you're good.
So you have 160,000 in profit right as it sits, right? And that's just okay, cool. Like that means for me, I'm going to say yes, I'd be willing to wholesale this. Because if you're going to take on a property and you're going to dump 210,000 into it, you better be making at least $100,000 profit, right? I mean, end of story. That's kind of, those are most hosts, fix and flippers. That would be their number. Some of them won't do it unless they make 160,000 or whatever they put in rehab. I know multiple rehabbers that are like, oh, we only do it if we can, do X. But let's talk about what the holding costs on this might look like. So if you, so our goal here would be to say, well, if it was our property and it was one of our people who wanted to pick this property up, we have to do the debt equity blend. So what would be the debt equity? What would be the debt blend of this, babe?
So we would take the all in, which is our 945 plus 210 equals, and then times by 0.666666, 2/3. So that's what we would get in hard money, 770.
So now take that and times that by 12% and divide it by 2, or 12, or by 12%, and then divide that by 2 for 6 months. So if you did hard money on this, you'd be at 46.
Round it up to 50.
Yep, round it to 50 because you do have some points on the front end. So 50,000. And then if you were going to calculate closing costs and agent fees, like if you were really going to be like, oh, this is how Mitch and Maeli do it, right? So you would go 1.315 and times that by 7%. So now you're at 92,000. So now you're going to subtract 50,000 minus 92,000 from the 160. You're going to go
Okay,
160.
so 160 minus 50,000 minus 92,000. 18,000 in profit.
So there you go.
This is why we didn't flip it.
Part of it.
Right? This
but
is
also,
why for us, for our model,
Yep.
we're like, doesn't make sense for us, right? Because we don't. I mean, when Maeli acts as an agent, she gets paid as an agent, right? So, for me to go out to equity partners and be like, we're going to make 18 grand, let's risk $1.1 million on it, right? Obviously not, and I'm not going to waste my time on this. This is opportunity cost, right? So for us in our system, it's like, okay, this one didn't make sense. But why are we wholesaling it? Well, because there's people out there that don't use hard money. There's people out there that do cash. Just like this buyer. He was going to flip it. He had cash. Or excuse me, the seller. He was going to flip it. He had cash. He's just in a situation where he needs the money back. There's other flippers out there that have cash. So it may not apply to somebody who runs their business model like us, but there's a lot of flippers out there that run other business models. Also, if they're not if they're not paying 92 grand in agent fees, then it makes sense. Now you've got a six-figure margin. Just didn't make sense for us to flip personally. So what do? If it's a deal, it's just not a deal for you. Wholesale it.
Yep. And that's really the key behind a wholesaling business is you get the cream of the crop, right? You're seeing all the numbers first. You're seeing everything, so you get to pick the ones that you love and that you think are what you want, and then all this stuff that's like, actually not worth my time, right? Pass, pass, pass. That's the beauty of starting, and this is why we really suggest a lot of you to start with the wholesaling business when you first get started in real estate.
Hey,
And
Mealy,
that's simple.
will you turn your video back on? Sorry, we just can't see
Oh yeah, no, sorry, you're fine. They just want to see your cute face. Sorry.
it.
But that
Nobody
is
else does. They all want to see your cute face.
yeah. But that is, why we suggest that. And that's just simply because it is an opportunity for you to start learning how to run numbers, right? What sells, what doesn't sell, get a buyer's list ready to go so that so that you don't have to spend your time doing fix and flips, and it is a lot of work. It's not for everyone. And it's a big headache for a lot of people. So if that's not your jam, right? Or maybe you don't want to raise capital, or maybe you don't feel comfortable doing any of those things just yet, wholesaling is a fantastic place to start. And I highly recommend, doing exactly what we just did tonight. April earlier said, I am not a real estate agent. We don't have access to the MLS for comps. What's a good go-to? I've heard some wholesalers use PropStream. That's correct, but haven't tried it yet. Yeah, there's two more, and actually I have somebody working on it right now, looking into, because we're actually doubling down our wholesaling business. So for all of you that are like excited about this, we're going to be doing a lot more wholesaling from here on out. I definitely think we've kind of hit that tweak in the market again where it's time to start wholesaling. There's a lot of good deals that are fresh and ready to go, and people are upside down. Like, I think Heather and I pulled the report last month, and it was like 480 pre-foreclosures. So Mitch and I can't do this alone. There's no way we can possibly wholesale 420 homes, right? And there are a lot of wholesalers, but they left. A lot of them did, because it's not the market that it was. And so we do have quite a bit of homes and people that need help, and there's more divorces now than ever, and this is just Utah, let alone across the nation, and we can help you across the nation. So don't feel like, for you that are on, not here in Utah, we do have agents and great relationships with agents across the nation. So feel free to reach out if you're like, ooh, I think I have a deal, or I had somebody reach out to me, or I did land this contract, help me wholesale it. We absolutely can help you do that. Just because we're in Utah doesn't mean, that's where the buck stops. I promise it doesn't. We are a national, company, and we do have students across the nation. So that's really not an issue. And like investing hubs across the nation. So we have big groups all over, which is great. But okay, one question that you had, April. So I'll get back to you, April, on that as far as like the two best. But PropStream is a good place to start for you that are trying to get going. But there are two more that I've actually heard that are better, and I'm waiting for.
Dealcheck.io runs comps. You have to sort through manually. It does it automated for you, but allows you to sort through manually, and it's decent. And it also allows you to create pro formas. So if you're a flipper or a wholesaler, that's a great function as well. Dealcheck.io.
Dealcheck's good. And then last question that April had is, what's a realistic timeline for fixing this property? I would say now, because they've already done the hard part, right? Which most of our, you'll see on our properties, they sit and they seem like they're just sitting, and it's and that's because we're waiting for permits. We're waiting for the architectural
Engineers,
design.
architects, yeah.
Yeah, we're waiting on
all
these
the desk job people.
We don't have control, right? Like there is nothing we can't swing hammers until X amount is done, right? And so, yeah, I love that that's already done. So I think very realistically, 5 to 6 months, very realistic, even with like the high end finishes. You would need to order doors now and windows now, though, in order to make sure you hit that timeline. Those would be the two things that you would want to order immediately, or you won't hit your timeline. Hopefully that's helpful.
Any other questions, guys? The time's now yours. That was it. So hopefully you got a good idea from quick analysis to putting the email and marketing together and the data room. Hopefully you got a really good idea of how all that's done. Obviously we're going to put some finishing touches on this before we fire it off, but you got to see kind of the process and what we go through and the tools that we use. The time's yours. We got we got 6 minutes. It's up to you if you want to use that for questions or if we want to end a little early. That is totally up to you. So fire them off. What do you got?
It'll just be interesting to see how it plays out and to see what the seller is willing to do to make it work. You know,
And-
where his limits are.
Yeah, and this is one of those, Charlotte, that's like, you know, it's right that like it didn't work for us, but there was enough meat on the bone that it's like this may work for somebody. It may not work for anybody. But what are we out? We're not out anything. You know, we put it under contract. In this case, no earnest money, right? Which was nice. That's not always the case, so don't plan on that. But you know, we put it under contract. You know, we've got a due diligence period. What's that?
Actually, it was $500.
Oh, was it $500? Okay. So, but we get that back, right? Because we'd cancel before the due diligence period's up. So we blast this thing out. No one wants it. So what? We tried. But if someone does want it, we make 15 grand for basically what you just saw. Maeli and I got together about an hour before this call, and we're like, "Okay, we're going to do it on wholesaling today." We knew that we were going to do this, so we saved this work specifically for the call. But we've spent what, an hour, and honestly, we can do it faster than this, but not when we're trying to explain it. so the explaining part kind of made it take longer. So a couple hours of work for 15 grand potentially, fantastic. If it doesn't go, oh well, next one, right? That's the nice thing about wholesaling. I love it.
Like, I have to be doing this anyway. This is part of my job. So I had to go do the walkthrough, right? This is what I do for a living. So, you know, it is my primary that I'm looking at comps. I'm running to see if it's a deal. I'm doing all those things anyway. So to turn it into a wholesale, it's like, well, yeah, like blast it out, see if it works. I already did all the work anyway. So I might as well just blast it out and see if somebody else sees something different. I genuinely think that you could get more for this property. Truthfully, like, I think that because of there's 2 homes that are being built as we speak, and I actually have a video of that too, of like the neighborhood. I did a drive, so don't let me forget to add that to it, because knowing the neighborhood is key, right? It's on like this really quaint street, like so cute, and there are a bunch of remodels, and there's 2 that are happening right now. They're going to be over, you know, $2 million, $3 million dollar homes. So that's really good. You could probably stretch this quite far. So it just depends on, you know, what everybody is wanting and how it shakes loose. Curious. Oh, good. I'm glad you like it. That's awesome.
Your contractor said he could do it as like it was drawn up for 210.
Yes. Yep. Now, not with the deck, not adding, so that would not be included.
Right.
So it would just be leaving.
Well, you know, one of the thoughts it's just because I've seen that show where they come in and they redo it, but then they split the profit. So like if your guy can't sell it and your contractor could fix it up for 210, you say, okay, well, it's going to cost you another 210,000, but when we sell it, you know, we'll be able to get more and you'll get your money back plus some, but we're going to split the profit. You know, I mean, I don't know where it ends up, but it'll just be interesting to see where all of
he is willing to look at like something like that. He's hoping not to, but I did say,
right,
well, he'd be willing to be the equity partner on this, that it is something maybe we would look at, right? So if that's not as ideal, that's not what I'm going to blast out. But there are definitely steps to this where I might have to get him to come down, right, in price to make this a deal for someone. Because that's the thing is with the wholesale, you say, hey, submit best and final offer, right? And it's all the day of, you know, and it's like, do your due diligence before you make an offer, and then that's it. Like, there's nothing else to it. I am a big fan of letting people do due diligence. Like, if they're going to put an offer, fine, but like, let's give them, you know, a week of due diligence. Because I wouldn't buy a property without doing that. So I purposely gave ourselves quite a bit of time to, you know, as far as due diligence goes, so that people could do that. But during that due diligence time, they might have to come down. Who knows? It just depends on what kind of offers come in.
Great questions. Great comments. Great training, Maeli. Thank you. Guys, thank you for being here today. We are here every Wednesday, so make sure you join us again the following Wednesday, 7 p.m. Mountain Time. Same time, same place, same link. We're going to be here next week talking about another awesome strategy that you can do in real estate investing. So you don't want to miss it. Mark it on the calendar. Be here every week with us. We're here pretty much every week out of the year, with very few exceptions. So we'd love to see you there. In the meantime, guys, stay happy, stay healthy, stay hungry to go out and do some real estate. We love you all, and we'll see you very soon. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.